See, when I listen to these stories, I'm amazed by the strength of the women of Sudan, of the brothers and sisters of Sudan. I'm amazed by their strength, their conviction, their hope. Their hope in when hope is being taken from them, they still have hope. They take it back. Those people of Sudan take back the hope that people are trying to take from them. They hold on to hope like a jewel and they honor it. Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to a new chapter of my podcast. Today, I'm taking us storytelling beyond borders to a place that has been in crisis for too long. This is episode 1 of series 2, Go Global, All Eyes on Sudan. Now, I chose Sudan because no one's really talking about Sudan. Like no one is saying anything about Sudan, about what's going on in Sudan, about the crisis in Sudan, about how the people are suffering and how they're trying to find hope and resilience. No one's talking about it. So I'm like, you know what, grab the mic, let me do it. And it's not because these are my stories to tell, because they're not my stories to tell. They're stories that need to be told, and I'm telling them so that you can listen and pay attention and learn. That's very important to me. It's important to me that at least through my podcast I can do something good. Like something like the world needs right now, and the world really needs to listen to Sudan. Now, I went Umrah recently, and when I went Umrah, we were in Medina. After the Umrah, we went to Medina, beautiful city, very peaceful, very lovely, very vibesy. And there we went abaya shopping. I say we, mainly my mum, and it was very lovely. And there was this really kind brother who helped my mum pick out some abayas to buy, and he could speak Bengali. I'm like, yo, you don't look Bengali though. How are you speaking the language, mate? Obviously didn't say mate because we're in Saudi Arabia and like he's a brother. I didn't go saying mate. But anyway, he could speak Bengali. I'm trying to figure out where he's from because he can speak Arabic too. And he goes, I'm from Sudan. I'm like, yo, mashallah, you're from Sudan and you can speak Bengali. Like, yo, that's so cool. Like, he spoke Bengali like so sweetly. I'm like, this is so beautiful. This is literally like everything that I've been like I've never seen in my life, and I'm like, whoa, alhamdulillah, I get to see this language infusion, fusion, diffusion, really like that. Anyway, before we dive into episode 1, All Eyes on Sudan, I want to start not with the numbers, but with the person. I want to start by telling you a bit about Fatima. But before we dive in, let me tell you a bit about Fatima. Fatima is a woman from Al-Asl, near Khartoum, and Khartoum is the capital city of Sudan. Now, when the war erupted in her neighbourhood, shelling rained down around her home. Lots of bombing, lots of fighting, lots of destruction. Not a very safe place to be. So she fled with her family, the most natural thing to do, driving past the bodies on the road and hearing the constant sounds of fighting. Imagine how frightening that would be. But the hardest part for Fatima, she had to leave her children behind, and a year later, she still hasn't seen them. She prays, she hopes, she waits. She's not alone, because quite a lot of women, Sudanese fathers, they're going through this. So let me tell you a bit about what's going on today. So on the April 15th, 2023, violent clashes broke out in Sudan between two armies, Sudanese armed forces and the paramilitary rapid support forces. We don't like the paramilitary rapid support forces purely because they caused a mass genocide in the Darfur War in 2003, and also they've been systematically raping the women and girls of Sudan. That's horrible. That's absolutely awful. So bad. You know the other thing? The UAE. The UAE are funding the RSF, and the RSF are smuggling gold from Sudan to the UAE. So it's crazy to think about, because it's like, hold up, maybe you're just innocently buying gold, right, from the UAE, just thinking, oh, it's gold, it's not really doing anything, it's a necklace, it's pretty. And then when you think about how that money is going towards fueling the conflict, the violence, the atrocities going on in Sudan, you're like, I don't need this gold, really, do I? So let's switch our heads on and think about the real impact of what this civil war is happening in Sudan, the impact of this from April 15th, 2023. what's going on now. So 2 years on, nearly 13 million people, 1 in 3 Sudanese, have been displaced, either inside Sudan or across borders. Famine grips Darfur. Half of Sudan's population, around 25 million people, now need humanitarian assistance. They're facing severe food shortages, water, medicine, and fuel. And these are basic necessities. Like, you don't have water, you're going to be dehydrated, you're going to be ill, you're going to suffer from a lot of things. You don't have food, how are you going to feed your family? Your children are going to be very hungry, poorly. Medicine, how are you going to look after yourself? How are you going to fix and heal your body? And fuel, how are you going to cook? How are you going to heat up your homes? Or all the basic necessities, they have a severe shortage of because of this war. 8.5 million people are in emergency food insecurity. And Egypt hosts the largest number of refugees, so 1.5 million Sudanese people went to Egypt to seek refuge because of the violence going on in Sudan. It's not they want to leave their country is their home, their country is their pride, but with this violence going on, how are they going to protect their families? By leaving, by finding a safer refuge somewhere else. Now, with millions more refugees across Chad, South Sudan, Libya, Uganda and Ethiopia. Now, without urgent action, hundreds of thousands more people will be forced to flee, leaving behind homes, memories and loved ones. And you and I both know, behind the numbers that I've just told you, there are faces, stories, lives. There are dreams. These people have dreams. These people have an attachment to their homeland, but they're having to flee the violence. They're having to leave the land they love the most. And these stories, my friend, deserve our attention. Now, let's do a bit of history, because how did we really get here? And to understand today's crisis, we got to look back to the colonial times. And guess who colonized Sudan? One guess. It doesn't have to be a long guess. Just one guess. Britain. Yeah, lovely old Britain did this. So the British, they ruled North Sudan and South Sudan differently. As in Sudan, they split it into North and South. So they invested in the Arab North and neglected the South and Darfur. They created social hierarchies. They sowed the seeds of distrust and they left legacies of division. Now the North, predominantly Muslim and Arabic speaking, received investment in schools, hospitals and infrastructure, and the South, very multi-ethnic, very multilingual, they were neglected. This development was slowed and cultural connections were discouraged. Now these divide and rule policies created deep ethnic and social hierarchies which persist today. And when Sudan gained independence in 1956, the North attempted to assimilate the South by force, which sparked decades of civil war. Now, after independence in 1956, as we know, these tensions erupted into civil wars. But oil discovery in the South in 1978 led to new economic tensions, and in 2011, South Sudan became independent, taking most of Sudan's oil with it. The North was left with a fragile economy, while Darfur and other regions remained neglected. Then came the Darfur War in 2003. This is one of the most horrible times. It was marked by ethnic cleansing and those mass killings and displacement of millions of people. The Rapid Support Forces, which would later play a central role in the 2023 crisis, had their roots in the Darfur War. Now, eventually in 2011, when the South became independent, Darfur still remained neglected. And in 2003, that war had left scars because hundreds of thousands had been killed and millions had been displaced, and worse too. Now if we fast forward 20 years later to 2023, the clashes between the Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces are in many ways the latest chapter in a long history of inequality, neglect and violence. Now it's one thing to zoom in on the history of how we got here, but I think we need to take this a bit deeper. I think we need to have a look at the individual stories themselves. Like, I did some research. So I went on the Women's Refugee Commission website. I found a really good compact report, 63-page report. It's called In Her Own Words. And that report goes into detail about what the Sudanese women were going through and what the impact is of that, of 2023, and how they're coping now. I also went on Amnesty International, and they provided some very insightful but also heartbreaking to read testimonials of Sudanese people and what they're going through. And remember Fatima? I mentioned a woman named Fatima in the introduction who had to leave her children behind. I want to tell you a bit about her story and how it got to this place and the impact this has had. So, near an RSF camp, there was some fighting, and that fighting had ensued. It billowed, it was very intense. So Fatima fled her home with her family, and when she arrived at a shelter, she realised her children could not come with her. But why? So they went to the airport, Fatima, her family, and her children, but Fatima herself, the mother, was denied passage because she did not hold a foreign passport, whereas her husband and children did. So she had to make a very tough decision, which was to let them go and for her to stay behind. And imagine how that feels for a mother. Like, nearly a year later, Fatima remains separated from her children. Only her 8-year-old daughter has been able to attend school, and her older children have to work to survive abroad. Fatima described this separation in a very painful way. She described it like a kind of abduction and continues to pray for their safe return. Now, while staying in an IDP shelter, Fatima has turned her pain into purpose. She works with the Women Awareness Organization to support other displaced families, continuing her advocacy for her own family. And Amnesty International reports her final words from this testimonial as, "My children are mine, and I have hope of living with them soon." See, when I listen to these stories, I'm amazed by the strength of the women of Sudan, of the brothers and sisters of Sudan. I'm amazed by their strength, their conviction, their hope. Their hope in when hope is being taken from them, they still have hope. They take it back. Those people of Sudan take back the hope that people are trying to take from them. They hold on to hope like a jewel, and they honor it. As we leave Fatima for a moment, we move to a different story, Kawther. Now, Kawther is a mother of 5. Now, like Fatima, Kawther was forced to flee her home to survive, but her path through fear and through checkpoints shows a very different facet of this war's toll on human beings. The daily uncertainty, the threats made to her children, and the lasting scars on both the body and the mind. Now, when you hear her story, alongside Fatima's story, you and we begin to understand the full weight of what families in Sudan are enduring, the courage it takes to survive, the love that drives them forward, and the communities they are striving to rebuild, even amidst these challenges that we can't imagine and we have not experienced ourselves, but they are. Kawther, a mother of 5, fled on foot with her family. And she fled her home in August 2023 after armed men began asking for her specific family. And she's got to protect her own. She's got to protect her kids. These army, you can't trust them. They've hurt many. They're going to come after hers too. She's got to protect her own. So she fled her home. She and her children escaped on foot, stopping again and again at checkpoints. And at one of them, a soldier searched Kawther, touched her inappropriately, while trying to confiscate the golden bracelets around her waist. Now, Kawther offered to hand them over herself, but her 13-year-old son stepped in front of her to protect her. The soldier then tried to shoot her son, and Kawther begged, screaming that her son was still a child. Instead, soldiers accused him of holding illegal visas and arrested her son. For hours, Kawther searched desperately for him, and by evening she found him inside an RSF camp in a very severe condition. Bear in mind, Kawther's son is diabetic as well. The family were detained for 15 days, and Kawther describes beatings, humiliation, and fear as her daily reality. And when fighting broke out in a nearby camp, that's when they were able to escape and eventually reached an IDP shelter. And when she arrived, Kawther says she collapsed psychologically because her son saw her get humiliated at a checkpoint. She's seen her son get beaten and mistreated, and he's a diabetic 13-year-old boy. Imagine the toll this has on a person. And when you imagine that, also try to imagine the painful silence the rest of the world seems to have. What keeps Kawther going is her husband. He himself is wounded in a military hospital, but he calls her every day. He calls her every day and tells her it's not her fault what happened. She finds strength through her husband's words, who affirm to her that it's not her fault what happened. Kawther's story has left a mark of fear, where I now understand the weight of displacement, the weight of fear, the weight of survival. But the war in Sudan has affected people in many different ways, including those who carry the burden of loss, disability, and relentless responsibility. I want to tell you the story of Iman. Iman, what a beautiful name. You tell me, what does Iman mean? What does Iman mean? I know Iman to mean belief, trust in Allah, this unwavering, unshaking faith. And Iman's story matches with the meaning of her name as well, quite beautifully. So Iman is a midwife and a widow. She escaped to Egypt, but she struggles daily. Iman's leg is amputated. Her children do not have school, and with no stable income, she still continues to care for others despite how much she's suffering herself. Iman Mustafa Muhammad is a widow, a mother of 3, and a midwife from Durman, Al-Iskan. During the war, her home was looted, so she and her children fled to Egypt for safety. But this safety brought new struggles: high rent, barely any work, uncertainty about whether to stay here or return back to Sudan. Iman's got an amputated leg and chronic health conditions, but even in Khartoum, she continued working as a midwife, moving on a donkey carriage to reach those in need. Look at the perseverance. And after the war, her pension stopped, and in Egypt she cannot continue her work, leaving her dependent on relatives abroad to survive. But despite all this, Iman still hopes. Iman dreams of income-generating projects for women, like sewing, making ice cream, finding ways to build community and self-reliance. Yet she knows that unless the war stops, no progress can truly take root. Her story is beautiful because it's a quiet testament to resilience, the courage to care for others, the desire to rebuild, and the hope that even amidst the devastation, life can continue and dignity can endure. Lubna's story, and I really resonate with Lubna's story because she's closer in age to me. Lubna's 23, and her story is featured in the Women's Refugee Commission report, titled In Her Own Words. I don't remember the page number, but it's somewhere there. So Lubna's story shows a different kind of resilience, one that blossoms in the midst of fear, danger, and uncertainty. Lubna's a young student in Durman. She found purpose amidst the chaos. She herself says, "The war has added years to my age, but I want to live to help others. We have discovered our abilities. We just need the war to stop, to impact more lives." Resilience is blooming in Sudan. Lubna Ahmed Hussein is 23, a student of architecture and planning at Sudan University of Science and Technology, living in Omdurman's Salha neighborhood. Unlike many others, she didn't flee far, except once to sit an exam in a safer area. But the war has left its mark on her nonetheless. She describes how deprivation reshaped her life. The absence of basic necessities, the loss of safety, the constant strikes, and forced her to grow up faster than anyone should have to. The war has added years to my age, she reflects. Before the war, I was 22, and now I feel like I carry the experience of a retired person. But Lubna has turned hardship into action. She and other young women created spaces for learning and support. They reopened a kindergarten for children, teaching them to read and write, and to shift their minds from the war and from the devastating horrors of the war towards games, creativity, hope, education. She noticed children who had once crafted wooden weapons. Now they're asking about homework. Now they're asking about games. Now they're talking about school. And this is a small but profound sign of a reclaimed childhood. Lubna also sought purpose in her own life. She studied online, learned new languages, and read about mental health. She worked hard to keep her mind active, to fight the emptiness inside. Her community projects, teaching, creating, and even planning Sudan's first architecture magazine gave her a sense of accomplishment, a sense that life can still have meaning and impact even amidst the chaos and the war that she cannot control. Hope in Sudan can be loud and can be quiet. It's Lubna teaching children. It's Iman caring for others despite her amputated leg. It's Fatima praying to be reunited with her children, and Kawther finding strength through talking to her husband. It's the women and men of Sudan creating community spaces, and grassroots organizations working tirelessly. And hope can be found in the words too. In poetry, I want to share lines from Sudanese poet Muhammad al-Fayturi from his poem Dig No Grave for Me. Each death cloud that falls asleep on the earth's chest is absorbed into the earth's womb, where a baby revolution begins to form. El-Fayturi reminds us that the fighter does not die, the oppressed do not give up, and even in destruction, the seeds of renewal and revolution are born. I want to ask you something. Can we be a part of that revolution? Can we use our voices, our awareness, our knowledge, our generosity to help nourish a new dawn in Sudan? Right now, Sudanese mothers, fathers, and children are in need of urgent support from a world that has forgotten how to listen or chooses not to. But we can't be part of that world. We have to be a world that does listen. Families like Fatima's, Kawther's, Iman's, and Lubna's have endured unimaginable hardship, fleeing their homes, witnessing violence, struggling to survive every day. Organizations like Islamic Relief and other trusted partners are on the ground, providing food, clean water, shelter, and psychosocial care to those who have lost so much. This year, I'm taking on the Falkirk Abseiling Challenge 2026 to raise money for Sudan. Every donation, no matter how small, can help provide a family with meals, safe shelter, or support a child's education. If you are able to, consider giving today. And if you're not able to donate, that's okay. Share these stories. Talk about Lubna. Talk about Kawther. Tell people about Maryam. Tell people about the stories that I've told you about. And we can build something. We can be that revolution that Muhammad al-Fayturi was talking about. We cannot turn away. We cannot close our eyes. Each of us has the power to make a difference. Together we can be the change Sudan desperately needs. We can offer hope where hope has been lost. Thank you for listening. May your hearts be filled with compassion, and may your actions bring relief to those who need it most. My fundraiser is linked in my Instagram bio, and I hope you learned something new about Sudan, about the beauty of Sudan, about the beauty of resilience in Sudan. I hope you've learned something new, and I hope you keep Sudan in your conversations. I hope you keep Sudan alive in your conversations and in your heart too. That doesn't cost anything other than goodness, and that goodness will lead to more goodness. هل جزاء الإحسان إلا الإحسان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. I don't know which number the ayah's from, but Surah Rahman, what is the reward of goodness except goodness? As Muslims, let's bank in on that. If you're not Muslim, still, what is the reward of goodness except goodness? When you do something good, what else are you going to get other than good? Use it. My friend, use it. Take this as an opportunity to open your heart, open the door of your heart. Let the goodness fall out. Let it flow like a river. Do not let it stop. This has been a beautiful episode to film, and I'm really glad that I messed it up the first time, because then I got to do it again and enjoy the beauty of telling you about Sudan again. So alhamdulillah. Also make dua that my back pain disappears. I just have bad posture sometimes, but inshallah that will fix too. Because I need it fixed if I'm doing the abseiling challenge, which inshallah I intend to. And yeah, I'll keep you updated on how it goes. And thank you so much to everyone who's donated so far to my fundraiser. I really appreciate it. May Allah reward you with so much in the dunya and in the akhirah. Ameen. And I'm just so excited. I'm so excited because we've been on a journey together, and you're growing with me, I'm growing with you. Let's keep the growth. Let's keep it up. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. See you for another episode soon.